Today I'll be showing you how I made box cushions for the sliding sofa bed created in the previous episode. Recently there have been a number of changes in my life which I'm excited to tell you about in a few minutes' time. Before I roll the tape, thank you to my returning viewers, it has been a while. If you're new, please subscribe below and remember to leave a like. The aim here was to create something that stood out from the rest of the van. In such a small space, the bed is very much the focal point, and I wanted a design that turned heads without completely dominating the space. It also needed to be something that complemented the colour scheme of my flat, since this is where the bed will be when I'm not travelling. Like most of my projects, this one began by scouring YouTube for tutorials. Check out the funky little chair for an excellent box cushion tutorial. It's what I used and the results are fantastic. I also created a spreadsheet for calculating the dimensions. You can find links for both resources as well as materials used in the description below. Before you go spending money on new fabrics, see if you have a local scrap store. I spent just £4 on the cotton for this prototype cushion. I couldn't find anything suitable for the final product, but you might. With the machine threaded, I began by cutting my half-price B&Q curtains down to size. 30 quid very well spent. In December I finally moved back out of my parents' house. I'm now renting a flat across town. Moving is quite an involved task for anyone. When you add autism and ADHD into the mix, the whole process can turn into a bit of a mission. As much as I wanted to upload videos during the last couple of months, I know that the move would have suffered as a result. Living independently is challenging for me, but it also gives me the freedom to create structure and routines that are entirely bespoke. If there's one thing I've learned over the past few years, it's how much of a difference it makes to be in or be provided with the right environment. I want to make the most of it, and like most things, that starts with a plan. I want to continue growing this channel well after the van is finished, and I'm brimming with ideas. This week I started filming a new, as of yet untitled series, in which I challenge myself to make non-permanent improvements to the flat. Home ownership is such a long way off for so many of us, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't enjoy the homes that we rent. This series will run alongside the van conversion, it won't replace it. Here you can see me making the piping. Material for piping is often cut on the bias at 45 degrees. Doing so eliminates tension and gives the fabric more fluidity and stretch. It's also more wasteful. I cut mine at I think 25 degrees to help make the fabric go further. Because this was all done in one running stitch, I've got to separate them, a bit like how you've got to separate sausages when you take them out of the packet. That leaves me with one very long line of fabric, which I can turn into piping. So the idea here is to take your piping and your string, and then you fold this over and stitch right up against the string. You can see it's raised on the edge. What that does is allow me to come right in close and actually get the piping underneath the raised section of the foot. So when I bring this down, the raised part of the foot is resting on the piping. When you get to your joins, just push out the fabric like so and get it flat so that you can sew straight through it. Before I sew the piping onto the face panels of the box cushion, I just want to mark the centre on the end of each piece, and that's going to help me line everything up later on. I'd strongly recommend checking out that video in the description because they do a far better job at explaining than I'd ever be able to do. Panels are finished. I'm going to move on to the zip. So for the zip, I'm going to use two lengths of fabric. They're cut to the same depth as that of the boxing and then folded in half across their width. Then I'm going to place each so that they are halfway over the middle of the zip, and then I'll stitch these. I'll stitch one on and take the other, place it halfway across so that the zip's hidden when I've finished sewing it. Here I've got my boxing and I'm just stitching those together so I can form one length. Then I can find the halfway point, cut a notch in that and line it up with the face panel and stitch it on. Here I've got one of my panels with a centre notch cut out, face side up. I'm going to take my boxing, centre notch, and line up notch to notch with face side down. As you can see here, I opted to put the zip on the short end of the mattress rather than along its length, and it does make it a lot more difficult to put the cover onto the mattress, but at the end of the day it saved me a bit of money. That's just about it for today. I hope you enjoyed the episode and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Please remember to like and subscribe, it really helps, and it would be great to meet my next goal of 1,000 subscribers sometime soon. The next jobs to do on the van are making the bedding, and when the weather improves I'll get on with painting the cupboards. In the meantime, there's a couple of mechanical issues which I'll try to film, as well as pressing ahead with this new series to be filmed in the flat. I'll edit a bunch of episodes in advance so that you can get somewhat regular content rather than waiting for months on end. It was really fun to film and learn to sew actually in this episode, and I'm looking forward to doing more stuff like that. So I hope I'll see you in the next one.